of the South African ambassador to France, Nathi Mthethwa. Questions remain on what really happened. One of the people who reacted with shock to the news of his untimely death is ANC NEC member Malusi Gigaba. Gigaba says he and Mthethwa grew up as young activists in the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, where he saw his dedication and commitment to freedom and liberation. He joins me now live to reflect on his life. Good to have you, Sen. Thank you very much for your time. Let me just quickly segue from that conversation that Simon Marks was having with Dr. Buthelezi. As you're reflecting, and I'm sure you're also seeing the reaction on social media, but the family saying they have full confidence in the work that the French police have done in this particular matter. How does it land with you that this comrade that you grew up with as a young activist, there's a photo that we are putting up where the two of you are together, you're hearing that there's a possibility that he could have taken his life?
Look, we have listened to that, and we join the family in saying we do not understand as yet the full detail of what happened and even why it happened. And so we are just in shock, but we are focusing now on giving him a hero's send-off because of the role he has played in serving our country. And likewise, we join the family in saying we shut our ears off whatever is being said on social media, because this is a moment for mourning. The family must be supported, and we are united in ensuring that Comrade Nathi gets a hero's send-off that he deserves. He deserves nothing less than that, because he has dedicated all his life to our nation. He's given his all his intellect, his energy, and everything else that we are required to do in the service of the nation. And that is our primary focus at this stage.
Yeah. So are you saying that nothing has changed as in terms of your understanding of what could have taken place here? You still have questions, you yourself?
You know, we have questions, but we believe that the investigations by both the French and South African police services are going to bring finality to the matter. At the end of the day, if there is any new information that must emerge, it will emerge from those investigations. And to the extent that we have not been informed that there is any additional information, we are focusing on the information that we have and the responsibility we now carry, the heavy responsibility we carry to accompany him on his final steps to his resting place, Kwambonambi. And we plead with the nation not to partake in the spreading of rumors and gossip, in creating any further confusion. This is a moment of solemnity for the nation. He was a servant of the nation. He was representing our country in France and within the EU. And so we have to give him that send-off that he deserves.
Take us to Kwambonambi. What struck you about Nathi Mthethwa as a young activist, but what would have remained consistently throughout his political career that would have I suppose in many instances people would say, if we are to believe what happens in the ANC, you were in the same camp and you would have never had been at different camps?
Nathi was a very devoted individual. He was calm. He was very serious and, you know, with all his sense of humor, but he remained very serious and calm. I remember in 1993, when we were meeting, the first meetings we had between the ANC Youth League and the IFP Youth Brigade, as we were discussing the peace process, Nathi was of the very firm view that the peace process was of utmost importance to young people because we did not want to inherit a wasteland. It was important, therefore, for us to be more devoted to the attainment of peace between the ANC and the IFP in order to deny the apartheid regime the opportunity to divide our people and cause mayhem which would have delayed our freedom. He led those negotiations with the now mayor of eThekwini, Mr. Cyril Xaba. And because of their calmness, their firmness, they were a steady hand at the helm of those negotiations. ensuring that we are able to achieve progress in bringing about peace and placing the youth at the center of the peace effort. But he also was very instrumental in the re-establishment of the ANC Youth League after the unbanning in 1990, leading us as our administrative secretary and eventually as our regional secretary during a period of utmost upheaval, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, with the political violence taking place there. So he was devoted to organizing. He was an organizer. He was a political educator, always insisting that we need to immerse ourselves in the knowledge of the struggle of our society and the world for us, the better to be able to lead that process. And at the same time, he was a devoted individual, devoted to his family, to his friends. And so you had this complete human being who was able to straddle different aspects of life at the same time as he remained preoccupied with what was ultimately his uttermost important role and responsibility to ensure the liberation of our country. So this is the guy who, for us, was calm, affectionate, who was brave, who was fearless, who therefore was able to lead us during difficult times with the calmness that gave confidence to us that what we were doing was worthwhile and deserved to be done, whatever the sacrifices that had to be paid in order to achieve those objectives.
Not taking away to that glowing tribute, Mr. Gigaba, that you've just paid to the late Nathi Mthethwa. But when we cover the entirety of his legacy, one of the issues, for example, that would come up is the issue of the 22 million national flag project that was stopped dead in its tracks. In the context of the ANC today and the challenges that you have been very vocal about within the ANC today, what do you think would have happened in the life of Nathi Mthethwa that he would have spearheaded that particular project that divided the nation?
You know, whatever happened at the time, unfortunately, I was out of government, so I didn't know the nitty-gritty of the detail as to the motivation for that project. But I'm sure he was driven in his mind and his heart by the desire to elevate patriotism. You see, many countries, including in France itself, they have national symbols that tower over the capitals of those countries, in Brazil, in various other countries, which serve to inspire and inculcate patriotism among the people. I think what we cannot fault him for was his ambition to inculcate that, to cultivate that patriotism. What we can say is that perhaps the manner in which it was done and the cost of the project would have been difficult for the country at the time, given the challenges we were going through. But I must praise his courage to backtrack from that project. As soon as it became clear that there was an outcry about it, he did not persist arrogantly with the project, but he listened to the outcry, backtracked from it, and ensured that we gave ourselves time to rethink about how we are going to do and achieve what he sought us to achieve. Because at the end of the day, Nathi was a patriot, but at the same time, he was a servant leader who was not only responsible and capable of leading from the front, he was also able to stand behind the masses, listen to their views, and do the things that they felt needed to be done. And that's why he was able, without hesitation, to pull back from that project.
Mr. Gigaba, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much for coming on. ANC NEC member Malusi Gigaba paying tribute to the late French ambassador Nathi Mthethwa.